Am I live? I hope I'm actually live. I don't know how to test that I'm actually live. It's funny because you know what? And I'm glad I'm recording as well because I literally have no clue. And that's why we test, right? That's why we do these things. This is my first time ever going live, and I don't know if I'm live. And I don't know how to tell if I'm live. All I know is that I've clicked the buttons and at least I'm recording, right? So even if this isn't being broadcast live, I can at least upload it afterwards. So all is not lost if I just dive into the content and pretend I'm live and hope for the best. Everything seems to be live, except like if I look at my own thing, right? I'm on my Facebook feed here. I can see that I'm actually live. Something's actually happening. Yes. Yes. Victory. Victory. I'm going to close that down so I don't end up watching myself. Anyway, goal setting workshop today, isn't it? Goal setting workshop. So, really kind of interesting bit of news with the lockdown. And I've mentioned this in a previous video that I firmly believe with every fiber in my being that there is opportunity within hardship. There is the chance for us to do something with our lives in every possible kind of challenge and difficulty that we have to overcome. And I kind of feel like whether you're in lockdown or not in the coming 28 days, whether you're in England, whether, I've got family and friends on the Isle of Man, Ireland, Scotland, I don't know what's going on in other countries, but whether you're in lockdown or not, 28 days is an incredible amount of time with which to launch a new habit or break an old habit or change a pattern within our lives. It's incredible what you can do when you've got the gift of 28 days. So without further ado, I want to take some time. I've no idea how long this is going to take. I haven't practiced or trained, or I don't have any notes to follow. I'm just going to basically do it for myself based on what I know and what I've learned and discovered over the years of studying personal development. And if I do it for myself, I'm hoping that anybody that sees this might get an idea and say, yes, actually, you know what? I do have this gift of 28 days. There are aspects of my life that I want to change. And I'm not talking about doing something major. This is a 28-day goal to shift a small micro part of our lives that can have a compounding effect on future lives. In fact, going through this course at the moment, I actually called the Wealth Chef, whereby you actually set goals and you actually identify domino goals, goals that you can knock over that actually impact the other goals within your life. So that's ultimately what we're going to do in the next 28 days. So there's kind of 3 stages of goals that I want to go through. Well, actually only 2 stages, because the third one is just a highlight, really, because it's the most advanced form of goal setting that I've ever seen. And it's actually a program run by a couple called John and Missy Butcher called Lifebook, which is actually part of the Mind Valley ecosystem. And you can look it up if you want, but the reason why I'm not going to go into it too much is it's effectively 12 categories across your life. Everything from health to wealth to career to your relationships to your love relationship as a separate entity to your quality of life to every single part of your life across 12 different categories that you set up belief structures around, your vision for what you want, the why you want to actually achieve it, and then the strategy that's going to help you get there. So Lifebook is a full-on integrated life vision that I'm not going to be able to squeeze into a video that's going to take half an hour or so. So I've actually done Lifebook a couple of times, and I can honestly say it's one of the most incredible experiences for goal setting that I've ever seen in my life. So if you want to check it out, you 100% can. But I only want to touch on that because I actually want to focus on two different aspects of goal setting. One is more complicated than the other. So I'm going to start with the more complicated version because this is the version that I'm going to do personally. And then the easier version, the lighter version, which is going to be afterwards. And there's a reason for that. But the first version that I'm going to go into is the more complicated version where I'm going to be focusing on three core aspects in our lives across health, wealth, and relationships. I just knocked my microphone. It's in a bad place. Health, wealth, and relationships. And the idea is that we kind of create a long goal, and then we break it down into segments. That's how I've done the health, wealth, and relationships aspect in the past. And I've actually done this recently based on a 6 months time scale. Because, well, to be honest with you, when COVID hit, things like the rug got pulled out from underneath me. I would imagine it would be same for a lot of people. My business went from comfortable income to absolute rock bottom zero. All of a sudden I couldn't travel. Work became difficult. So I'm on a new path. I'm on a new trajectory. So the idea of kind of like 5-year goals with that level of uncertainty seemed a bit ludicrous. So I actually thought, okay, well, I want to start the path, right? So what can I do over the next 6 months within these categories to get to, or at least start getting to where I want to be? And I looked at health, wealth, relationships, and kind of just tried to decide what I wanted over that period of time. And in health, I ultimately wanted to get to my ideal weight, which is 180 pounds. I'm currently 206.5 pounds. So over the next 6 months, I need to lose to 26.5 pounds. That was fine. And design strategies and break it down into how I want to achieve that. So what's that? I think it's around about £4.5 a month. And then how to do that is going to be a mixture of kind of diet and exercise to get me there. Within the wealth space, so like I said, I've gone from a comfortable income to rock bottom zero. So I'm finding a new way of doing things. And I've been really, really investing a lot of time into learning about marketing and particularly online marketing because, let's be honest, COVID, if you don't know online marketing, now's a really good time to learn online marketing. You know, there's a couple of industries that haven't been touched. If anything, it's actually become better for them. And if you have a look at like YouTubers, right? Twitch streamers, their lives have been affected. Virtually nothing at all has been affected within their lives. So like maybe they're someone we should listen to at this time. So my wealth goals are getting back to a semblance of normality and growing to an income of $5,000 per month. And I know that a lot of online marketers will talk about how I made $1 million in a month. I prefer to be a little bit more realistic than that. And I don't want it to wait till 6 months. But if I can create a financial system whereby I'm getting $5,000 a month, particularly as a minimalist, I practice minimalism, so I don't need a lot of money. That's comfortable for me. So I get back to comfort space. So that's my wealth goals. And my relationship goals are actually associated with, so I do have kind of a few things that I'm working on separately. I have some partner goals that I'm setting with my partner, Rebecca, around kind of different books that we're going to read and things like that. And we've also got some kind of goals that we're working on together. But my individual relationship goals is actually based on a concept called the 1000 True Fans. And it's this idea that, you know, you don't need to have 25 million subscribers, but if you can convince 1,000 people to part with $10 a month or $100 a year, that's an income of $100,000. Or, you know, convert that to pounds if you like. You can do whatever you like. But if you can convince 1,000 people to give you $100 or £100, that is a sizable income. Right? But to do that, you've got to forge a relationship with these people. You've got to forge a relationship with your audience. So over the next 6 months, I want to take a huge amount of time to understand who my audience is, build a relationship with them, get to know who they are. So that's my relationship goals. And what we can do with that is actually break that down into cycles, right? So I have I've been very, very fortunate that someone's actually come into my life to help me with my health aspect. We've been talking a little bit about the other aspects as well, is what we can do over a 28-day period to start that process. And I'll give you an example of what this might look like. So I'm going to switch modes here to this mode. 28-day goal setting. That worked, didn't it? I'm probably going to need a bigger font. Type. Yeah, that's really little, isn't it? You're not going to be able to see that. Let's change that to 30. Test. Well, that didn't work. $30, please. Brilliant. Or not. Looks like I'm going to have to do it manually. Okay, so health goals. Get down to 80 pounds from 206.5 pounds. Lose 26.5 pounds. Now I did some of this work beforehand, so because you know you don't want to see me weigh myself, do you? Let's be honest. So lose 26.5 pounds. Strategy, diet, and exercise. Wealth goals. Build to $5,000 a month. Income. Relationship goals. Uh, 1,000 true fans. Yeah. Build to 1,000 true fans. And that is going to be my these are going to be my focuses for the next 6 months. Now, breaking that down into 28 days. So the first one is 28 days. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to there are kind of a couple of assets for health that I'm going to work on or use to my advantage, because I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to go run marathons or anything like that. But what I am going to do is I'm going to drink a Huel shake every morning. Can't see me typing. Oh yeah, that's because I've not clicked the button. There we go. Would you look at that? I forgot to click the button. Thanks, hun. Appreciate that. And apparently not live on YouTube, only on Facebook. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, we practice. So, yes, right, back to what I was saying. So hopefully you can see this. It won't change font size. Just change the font size. Flipping heck. Finer. Maybe if I zoom in, is that going to work? Right, so a couple of assets that I've got on 28 days of, for the next 28 days of health stuff is I'm going to drink a Huel shake every morning, and I'm going to cook Hello Fresh delivery. For those that don't know, HelloFresh is a delivery service, so you can choose your menu, you cook it, and the instructions are all there for you. One of the biggest challenges that I've had with any kind of dieting is the fact that I'm hungry now. Let us go eat, and all of a sudden I have nothing healthy in the fridge, so it's bread and cheese. So HelloFresh is a great way to kind of offset that, because I just get the sheet, I get the bag out, it's got all of the ingredients in there, and you cook, right? And you could deliberately choose healthier meals. So those are two habits that I'm going to build in for the next 28 days with regards to eating. And I've also starting this program called Lift 4, which is a beach body thing, whereby you actually kind of train 3 days a week on this thing. I'm also going to do, I've still got P90X. So I'm going to do Ab Ripper X every day for 28 days. All right. So Welco's goals over the next 28 days. So slightly trickier one here, because I'm actually launching the Men's Health Virtual Summit in around about 50 days. So what can I do over the next 28 days when it's about half that, right? So 28 days will be, let's go, generate 1,500 leads for the virtual summit. Right? And the virtual summit is free to watch, but people can actually buy the event to keep forever, which generates, well, depending on the price package they choose, it can generate a certain amount of income. So say 5% of people buy at, and this is just, you know, a random kind of example, 5% of 5% of 1,500 at is 75 times 100 is $7,500. That is just for the virtual summit, and then the idea is that people will continue to subscribe for the following offers that are going to be happening monthly beyond that. So it's hard to say like what that's going to be monthly, but I know what I can do over the next 28 days, and that's focusing on generating 1,500 leads for that virtual summit. All right? Build to 1,000 true fans. Kind of the same goal. But I also want to add in something here. 28 days is one of the kind of key aspects that I actually recommend that anybody do, particularly during any lockdown circumstance, is get thee to a mastermind group. It's one of the most powerful assets that I've got working for me. I absolutely adore it. It's like a must attend event. Well, several events. I've got like 2 or 3. And like particularly for any kind of connection to talk things through. But the one mastermind focus group that I don't have is actually on men's health, which is the area that I want to work in. So I actually want to forge a men's health mastermind group. So I've now got my 28-day goals associated with my longer structures. Now, one of the most key aspects for any kind of goal setting is actually a little bit backwards, I guess. It's a little bit backwards because the idea is to actually forget about the goal. Let's go back to the main camera here. Is to actually forget about the goal for the 28-day structure. So, for example, for the 28-day weight loss, I know I want to lose about 4.5 pounds within that 28-day period, and those are my habits. But I almost want to forget about the 4.5 pounds bit. Because when we focus on the goal, we can start to get in our head a little bit, and we can start to focus on whether we are moving towards that goal or we aren't moving towards that goal, which meant that partway through, if we see we're not getting the results that we want, we might pivot and change the strategy just before it's about to kick in and start working. So in my case, I know that I want to lose 4.5 pounds, but I'm going to forget about the 4.5 pounds. I know how much I weigh today, and I will weigh myself at the end of 28 days. I know my strategy, but my focus is going to be on drink a Huel shake every morning, cook HelloFresh delivery every single day. Actually, I'm cooking it every other day because you actually for 2 people, so you split it off and then put it in the fridge for the next day. So cooking HelloFresh every other day, but eating HelloFresh every day. And lift 4 according to the program, an ab ripper X every single day. But those are the habits that I'm going to focus on, not the goal. And I'd like to give you another example on this, if I may, because say if you wanted to sleep better. So I've had challenges with sleep for years. For years and years and years and years and years, I've had challenges with sleep. And so it's gotten so bad sometimes that I've been laying in bed all night and not gotten to sleep till like 10 a.m. midday the next day. Just hours and hours and hours of insomnia. It can be crippling. So what we can do within a 28-day window is set a goal to sleep better. But for anybody else that has ever struggled sleeping, that goal makes things a million times worse, right? Like so many people that I know have been there, lying in bed thinking, I wish I could sleep, just really need to go to sleep. And it's actually that thought process that's stopping you going to sleep in the first place. So your very goal is stopping you doing the thing that you need to achieve. So instead, what are the habits that you can build around sleeping better that you can focus on every single day? So instead of focusing on getting to sleep, you're focusing on, I'm going to go to bed at 10:30 p.m. When I go to bed, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to read for a bit. I'm going to use a sleep meditation eye mask thingy. I'm going to put on some white noise. I'm going to use blue light glasses an hour before I go to bed. And you start to build up this ritual that you do every single day. So you're focusing on the habits that you're building, not the sleep. So this is a really, really cool and really, really important part of goal setting, is that you actually focus on the habits. So you set your goal, you focus on the habits that are going to get you to that goal, and then throw the goal away. You forget about the goal, so you're just focusing on the habits. I hope that makes sense. Technically, I've got a chat box here, but nothing's going in, so I don't even know if it's working. Don't even know if it's working, so if you do have any questions, I'm sorry. I can't see them at the moment. I'm still working out how this system works. But that's the structure that I'm taking, right? So the health, wealth, relationships idea, 3 segments of our life, focus on the goals that you want, and you can go for 6 months, 12 months and break it down. But what are those 28-day habits that you can do every day so you can forget about the goal and just focus on the habits? However, I am very, very aware that with lockdown, with self-isolation, there are a lot of confusing factors. So I don't necessarily want to say that your first foray into goal setting should be this kind of big hyper-aggressive process where you're going to break down each segment of your life and dive right in. Because, we found out about this the other day. Right, we found out about lockdown the other day. So we haven't got long to prepare. We haven't got long to prepare our goals for that 28-day period. So it's also an opportunity to pick one thing, right? It's to pick one thing that we can do during that 28-day process. Now on my YouTube channel at Don't Fret, I broke down 10 options that we can do during that 28-day period. And some of them were obvious, like meditation and journaling. But there are other cool... someone's commenting. Rebecca's commenting, and I can't see it. So obviously it's not working, but... Meh. Thank you anyway. I really, really appreciate it. I just wish I could see it. So, who am I? What was I saying? What's going on? Oh, yes. So, like, other things that we can do, for example, like I've already mentioned, I want to sleep better, right? So you can break down these habits based on one singular goal and try something for 28 days. Now, as I mentioned in my video, the key thing for any 28-day breakdown is that you actually commit to the goal. And I've got a phrase, and it's really, really important that you write this phrase down, that I've got written down here somewhere. Oh, here we go. So if you write this down, it'll actually cement this as bedrock for the next 28 days. And I will commit to 28 days of X, which is your goal, from November the 5th to December the 2nd, right? And that's the dates of lockdown. You could do it from tomorrow if you wanted. It doesn't matter, right? It's 28 days. Don't wait for necessarily lockdown. Don't wait for New Year to start setting resolutions. Don't wait for those pivotal moments to change your life. You could do it tomorrow. Do it today. There's not much left of today. So, you know, up to you. But you can actually kind of set a small goal. So I wanted to kind of highlight a couple of examples that you can do, particularly during lockdown, that I think will be really, really cool projects to set out to just say, like, 28 days, I'm going to focus on this. And I'm going to click, hopefully, this button. All right. So what we've got here is number one. So I found this website the other day, and it's cool because it's 28 days of .me, and it's got a few experiments. And this, I actually found it because I was Googling like 28-day goals, and I actually saw this one, 28 days of drawing. And I just thought this was like a really cool idea because it's not necessarily about being good, right? If you have a look at number one, I'm not creative. If you can actually see these pictures, not the best, right? You wouldn't necessarily say that that is going to end up in an art gallery, which I think is really, really important. But, you know, as my partner Rebecca says, anyone can improve at anything. So you can actually kind of take this and start to work on it, you know, draw something every single day and see how that starts to feel. See how you start to grow in that area. See how you start to improve. And I want to get right down to the bottom here because the verdict, right? After drawing every day for 28 days, I felt calmer, more in touch with what I really feel about a situation, a stronger connection to my gut feeling, a sense of lightness and ease, and yep, definitely happier. Right? And you don't need much to be able to do this. A couple of pieces of paper, pencil, pen. You know, you don't need the resources to start something like this. And if, you know, if it's going to make you feel during a state of lockdown, if it's going to help you feel more in touch with yourself and happier, seems like a smart approach. Here's another one. Are you ready for a challenge? 28-day national challenge. What is the national challenge? The national challenge is a 28-day online challenge designed to help you reach your goals. Everybody pays £5 to enter the challenge, and four categories to choose from: lose it, shape it, tone it, and over 50s. You get a challenge buddy, food portal, daily habit tracking, fitness portal. So, you know, we're locked in, so, or locked down, locked in, lockdown. So you know, that could lead to increased alcohol consumption. It could lead to increased food consumption. So this could be a really good way of, from day one of lockdown, you've made a conscious decision saying, no, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to put on a whole lot of weight. I'm not going to drink my way through lockdown. I'm going to sign up to a challenge that's going to actually let me use these 28 days for something useful. So there's another one. What is this? Why did I... Oh, no, that's not the one I wanted. Closing that one. 28 Days of Love. Now, this is actually my favorite one because, like, particularly for men, I think self-care is not something we do particularly well, at least not properly, when it comes to self-love, self-care, self-esteem. It's not something that we're particularly specialist in. And one of my thoughts around this area is that maybe we should start listening to some more women on how they take care of themselves and things like that, because they can use the word love much more comfortably than we can. And if you're anything like me, it's not a word that I throw out comfortably, but I see other people do. So this is the loveprojectlove.com/28 days of love, the self-love challenge that gets you into a daily habit of doing one loving thing for yourself each and every day. And it's simple. For the next 28 days, do one thing for yourself each day that makes you feel loved, cared for, and looked after. Right? With lockdown comes a certain level of isolation. Sometimes it certainly did the first time round. And so that kind of level of care and attention that we might have got from relating to others externally might not be as easily accessible for us now. So how can we ensure that we have what we need in terms of care and love and connection without those external opportunities? And this is something that I think is kind of cool. I looked into it a little bit. Your life transforms from the inside out, give you all of the resources that you might need internally instead of needing them externally. So step 1, get yourself inspired. Step 2, create a list of 28 daily acts of love. And yeah, so the reason that I wanted to highlight these is because, yes, you can 100% go on the kind of big, bodacious health, wealth, and relationships challenge, right? But that also might feel a little big, particularly if you're in lockdown. But lockdown is an opportunity to shift our thinking. We could be focused very much on what we've lost, what we don't have access to, and what things have been taken away from us. But by setting a challenge or a goal during those 28 days, we reshape our thinking into what can we do rather than what can't we do. So I really, really hope this goal-setting guide has helped you, given you a bit of a food for thought about what you might want to do over a course of any period of 28 days in your life. But if you're locked down, particularly in lockdown, it can really, really help with your kind of mental health. It can really, really help with your emotional stability. It can really, really help you avoid descending into addictions during that period, like increased alcohol consumption, increased food consumption, and things like that. So set the goal. Let me know the goal as well. I'd be really, really excited to see what you can come up with. And I'll see you in a future video. Bye.